Hello. So I'm here with Maria, who I've been on this journey, this life journey, this spiritual journey, this growth and evolution journey with for a long time. And Maria's got a story to share about her experience on this journey with me and with her own evolution and growth. So with that, where do you want to start and what do you want to share?
Oh gosh, let's see here. Well, I've got lots to share if you have enough time.
Yes.
Let's see. So I think it started out with, as a young woman, with me suffering with anxiety and not understanding what was happening, and recalling many times where my mind wouldn't just it felt very manic, if you will, or I felt out of control sometimes, and yet everything in my life was actually in place at the time. I always remember thinking, why am I struggling? I have everything. And there were times where I thought, okay, am I depressed, what is this feeling? And we met, and you'd been doing some of your work. Well, you'd been doing it for quite some time at that point, I think. And I remember my first memory is when you were at my house. This is 25 years ago, probably. And you asked me, I was explaining these feelings to you. And then you said, well, I don't think you're going to like what I'm going to tell you. And then you proceeded to tell me that, that you're bringing this on yourself with your thought patterns. And I recall thinking to myself, okay, she has no idea. She's never had anxiety, so she doesn't know what she's talking about. I apologize now.
That's okay.
Many years later.
It's okay.
So we talked, and of course, over the years, we kept talking. And I, for myself, this is ever before, unfortunately, as the years went by, my daughter then had her issues, and still with anxiety. And you and I would work together as friends, really. And you would talk to me. And one of the things that came up fairly quickly was breath work. And even then, I recall lying down and we were working on breath work. And again, I was completely disenchanted with the idea of breath work and how is that going to fix me? And I don't understand that process. And as the time went on, we started doing a little hypnotherapy, which helped. I remember knowing immediately after the hypnotherapy, like, something's changing. I'm coping a little bit better. After that, we did a lot of talking, more to do with reframing the way I was thinking. And I thought, that sounds like something I can look at. And what I like to refer to is that I didn't know that there were tools, mental tools, that I could literally physically feel like I could pick them up and use them. And that to me was really empowering. And we did that for some time, and I'd go back and forth with my belief system about it. And then finally, I was in the shower one day, 20 years ago, probably 15 or 20 years ago. And things felt really out of control. And I remember saying to myself, well, you can choose these thoughts, or you can choose this thought today. And where do you want to be? And the physiological, the body change was very obvious. I remember thinking, you can do this. And then there's so much more to this. I'm trying to remember the points that were really so vital to me, not being depressed and conquering anxiety, which quite honestly, I think I have. Obviously, there are outside for all of us, where particularly now, in the world of COVID and California burning, I realize how lucky I am to say, no, I'm not doing that today. I'm going to do this today. And that is very, for a non-believer, I think, wow, okay, that's extraordinary that I can do that.
So did that stem from that first time when you were in the shower and you were like, wow, I noticed that I can either go there with this
Yes.
thought and everything that's attached to that and that whole story, or not.
Right.
And I can go somewhere completely different.
Your words to me 20 plus years ago were, if you can go into this place of stress and anxiety, wouldn't it be obvious? I don't even think you used that word. Wouldn't it also tell you that your mind then is capable of going into a place of calm and being in control? And those words stayed with me. I thought, if I can do this to myself and make myself this anxious and this upset, I have the ability to go to the other side of that. And at first it was very, very hard, but with practice, and I think we're still practicing, I think that's the key.
Yeah.
That not to think that even when things are going great, that you should not participate. That's only recent for me, in meditation regularly and breath work. I've been meditating about 15 years, thanks to you. The meditations have been life-saving, literally. To do those meditations, and on truly understand, maybe my fifth or sixth time, that I didn't want to come back out. That was amazing. Like, wherever I just wanted to stay there. I'd never experienced that before without red wine, not even with red wine, but to be totally sober. And I say that with tongue in cheek, but to be totally, or even in a high state of anxiety, and then do the meditation, and then really get into the meditation and think, wow, this is amazing to be able to feel like that after a meditation, when I was just way up high, not feeling in control of my emotions. It's
so
been
did that
amazing
experience kind of confirm for you, like each time you did the meditation and it brought you down, did it really confirm for you, yes, I am in the driver's seat here, yes, I can change my state?
Yes.
And so then when you're out of the meditation, were there times when you really were able to apply it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that going back to being in the shower, I just recall it thinking, you can choose. And that was empowering. That's like, wait a minute, I can.
Yeah, I remember you calling me one day and you were driving. You said, this morning I realized I can actually change my thoughts.
Right.
I can change my thoughts.
Yeah.
And that's a life-changing
Michelle,
moment.
And, further to my journey, unfortunately, Nicole, my daughter, who's now 40, has suffered for about 10 years with anxiety, which I think, looking back, led to addiction. I really do. I think that anxiety is a terrible feeling, and and depression and not feeling in all of those things. When they accumulate and then life stresses, there has to be a way that we can detach from it with a healthy detachment. And our journey, Nicole and I, had my goodness, it's been amazing to watch the transformation when she meditates and when she does your work. She's still in what I call a holding pattern, which is that she's not totally engaged yet, and she may never really fully, I don't know. I think it's an individual struggle because of her situation being different to mine. Hers is more addiction takes over, or the addictive thoughts take over. But I think that the amazing thing is we did your work together online, and we had to turn it off because we were absolutely both knew it was a revelation. It was an opening of both hearts and an understanding that changed the course of our relationship completely. It changed everything for both of us. And the awareness that she has of your work in particular is actually quite incredible to me. She totally understands it, and she knows that it's there. And yet, like myself in the initial, because this has only been about 6 months really with
Yeah.
us, with Nicole, um, I just see it, I see it as the most incredible tool. I can't find the words really to explain, and I know that everyone has transformations in their life, and that's the word. It's a transformation that at least she's felt, and at least I know of, that is there. So that changes everything, because you know that you need to keep you know that you need to keep practicing and keep asking the questions. Okay, what is happening here? How do I control this impulsive behavior for her in particular, her impulsive behavior, has enlightened her. You can see that there's an awareness that she never had before,
Do you recognize where she is? I mean, were you in a similar place where it's starting to, so awareness is always the first place
Right.
in the journey of transformation. And, we each live in awareness for various amounts of time before we take the next step, which is transformation.
Right.
So, when you were talking about you were in the shower and you realized I can actually change this. I can actually not go there. That's the moment of transformation.
Yeah.
And as you were saying, we can live in awareness for different amounts of time. So do you recognize where she is, in that you have been in a similar place too?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that helps her as a mother. The difference between us, sadly, is, she knows, and she's very aware that when she was not in control of her emotions and her anxiety, her tools were alcohol or whatever to get rid of the pain. You know, and I totally understand that. It's frustrating when you've done the work and you're aware of the work. Trying to get her to say, no, you can do this. If you really come into yourself, if you really, it's hard. It's, really looking at yourself, and the way you have taught me is actually, it is transformation. That's right. It's the word. But to actually do it, there's a resistance that we all have, I'm sure, like a resistance to being aware or learning about yourself. It's quite frightening to learn about yourself, I think, and to figure out who you are and why you're responding like that. And then the other part of it I like is that it's not about, what you do isn't about going back into childhood trauma necessarily. It's not about digging up, we know what mom and dad did or how this person treated me. It's always going into you, which am I correct? I mean, that's what it feels like for me.
Yeah.
Because what I'm realizing is that, you're trying to blame something else. And then when you take responsibility for your reactions and the understanding that no matter what your past is, you can actually change that.
Yes.
You can actually look at it through a different lens and say, wait a minute, I have the chance for joy here, and I have the chance for pleasantness. It doesn't even have to be, for me personally, it doesn't have to be happy or happiness, but the pleasantness is what we can all reach for, and I think that watching my daughter suffer is very, very hard. It's really hard, because I know there's a key. So what I've done with your help and your work is I support her differently than I would have done 2 years ago. Very differently.
How's that? How's it?
Well, my words are different. The way I am is different. I've changed through your work. So that transformation is definitely a recent experience. I was very upset, and I went to react, and I stopped myself. I stopped immediately. I was just about to go into full-blown reaction, and I just said, nope, not doing that. I actually picked up the phone to you that day because I thought,
Mm.
okay, just need a little
Yeah.
more support here to not react like that, and and calm down. And I did. It's great. It's great to 1 hour later to say, wow, I'm really proud of myself. I did not behave irrationally. I did not hurt anybody's feelings by the words that came. I
Mm.
handled it completely differently through your
Mm.
advice, and she was different.
So there's different outcomes. So it's
Yeah,
interesting that when you go deeper and do the work on yourself, everyone around you benefits
absolutely.
from your own
Sure.
growth,
Yeah.
and then you become like me, and you're an advocate for everyone. Let's everyone do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
It's
Why aren't you doing this?
yes,
Yeah.
it's an invitation for everyone to sort of participate in, but you really approach this, through time. You
Mm,
did approach all of the different tools. So you did the breath work, you did the hypnosis, you also did the yoga. And
yes.
I think you had an experience
Oh,
in the yoga. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
is this the one with Mother Teresa?
Well,
I was like, what
I don't
is
know what you're going to
happening
say,
here?
but anyway,
Yeah.
yes, say it.
Uh, yes, that was a life changer, and I still see, and why of all people, Mother Teresa, I thought that was just a very strange experience. That was the first experience was you had an 8-week course or a
Yes,
7-week
that's what
course.
I was
That's the
thinking
story.
about. Yeah, that's what I was
And
thinking about.
I thought, and you were doing it locally, so there was no way I could get out of it. I had to support you. It's like,
Yes.
okay, you're like, so I signed up, and I thought, I can't not go. This is my first
You're
seven
supposed to
week,
go.
yeah, my 7-week chakra course. And I'd never done, I'd done yoga, but not like meditation yoga and the
Mm.
type of thing that you teach. I hadn't done that before. And I remember the first 2 classes, I was struggling. I just, I want to get out of here. My body wasn't just not having this. I've got things to
Mm.
do. I need to go for a run. I got laundry. But I did the first 2 weeks. The third week, the breath work and your voice and your teachings took me to a place I've never been before.
Mm.
And now I'm like a sobbing child in that I was just breaking my heart crying, just,
Mm.
and it was a release. I remember it being a physical release, especially when we got to the heart. And I think that would be right.
Mm.
1, 2, 3, or 4.
4.
4.
Mm-hmm.
The 4th class then.
Mm.
And I thought, what on earth is wrong with me? So felt fantastic after that.
Mm.
And then, of course, didn't want it to end. And, I totally remember thinking, I never in a million years thought I would get to that place where that release, it was just, physical, mental, all of that. Yeah, it was very extraordinary for me,
Yes.
and I'm sure for other people when they do this, and that's what I find very frustrating with humans and myself, is that once you get there, it's taken me a while, and still life comes up, people get in, or they feel like they get in your way, and then when I do get the alone time, I'm thinking, why are you not doing this more and more and more? Why are you not living this? It's not that hard. Or is it? I don't know where that pull is for
Mm.
me. Family, elder parents,
Mm.
Nicole. Um, it almost feels like a very selfish thing, to be in joy for me, to
Interesting.
be, to be joyful, and to be,
Mm.
and I wonder if a lot of people don't feel that way. Like it's kind of, you're not supposed to be this content. And
Interesting.
yet I know it's there, because you can't, what I'm learning is that, of course, you can't make other people happy. So if you find, which I have through this work, pleasantness and happiness and joy, you almost, or I almost feel guilty that I can go
Mm.
there and they can't.
Mm.
Well, for instance, my daughter shows me every day that it's difficult for her.
Mm.
Yeah, I thought about that. Like there's sort of a guilt around it almost, that you can find it and you can be joyful, regardless of everybody else's trauma,
And even regardless of life circumstances,
Yeah.
it's got nothing to do with how much
Well,
money's
like
in the
right
bank
now,
or,
yeah.
how easy life is. It's an internal evolution.
Yeah.
It's an internal leap.
Yeah.
And, as I said before, when you do your practices, and you said it's a practice, it's a consistent practice, it's a
just
journey.
like breathing.
Yeah,
exactly.
just like breathing.
Just like breathing.
And when you do it, everyone around you benefits.
Yeah.
Because you bring a better you into sort of all your circumstances and all your situations. So yes, thank you for sharing all of that and talking about.
I'm sure I'm gonna miss. There's things I'm going to miss out. I'm going to get in my car and drive home and go, why didn't I say this? Why didn't I say that? To add to that, I think that once, I committed to that 7-week course. And after that, when you were teaching yoga down here, or I knew it was like food. It was like air. I knew that I had to be there every time you did it, and I would always want more of that. And then you slip into daily life, and I still struggle with, why is that not a priority? And that is maybe part of my personality, that it feels selfish again to take that time for me. I mean, really? Whereas if you did, you're, like you just said, you're a much better person for everybody else.
And my book, The Habit of Happiness, the tagline for the book is, happiness is a skill that becomes a practice, that becomes a habit. So the more we do the practices, we have the habit to be able to reach into it sooner. But I know you've talked to me a couple of times of like, I know when I need to get to that meditation. I know I need to get there, and I need to get that meditation on to just reinforce you.
And thank you for that, because those meditations changed our life. And Nicole, I mean, Nicole could be in the height of anxiety, and I would calm her a little bit. And as soon as I put those CDs on and she starts doing the breath work, she'll say to me, I slept great last night, Mom. And then I'll say, when she doesn't sleep well, why didn't you do the tape? Like, just
because
and that's the part of breaking your old habits, recreating new habits. I deserve to sleep well, so why wouldn't I play the CD?
It's not easy to change habits. We're habitual beings, and it's not easy, but it's important, and it's doable.
Absolutely,
it's just a question of making the choice each time to come back to that.
I have one other story. You lived with us for about 7 months, and every morning you'd get up and make your green shake with fresh vegetables and fruit. And I'd be thinking, oh, I've got to go to work. I don't have time to make a shake. And then you'd say, would you like some? And I'd say, sure. So you'd make me one. And then after those months, you moved out, and I did them. By then I thought, oh, this is great. I feel great. I need to make the shakes. And you were gone maybe 6 weeks, and sure enough, I stopped making the shakes. And I asked myself a month or so later, what am I missing? And I thought, you know what, I think it's those shakes. So I went back to making vegetable shakes, green shakes with the spirulina and this and that, and got right on board with that. I still do those. But more importantly, my husband does them too, because he started the way I did. I'd say, well, would you like some? No. Well, are you sure you don't? Because I've made too much. And then he'd have one. And now John makes a shake every day for work, a green shake. So, we changed our habit of not, it's the one thing I do that makes me feel good about what I've ate that day for the most part. I know there's other foods we should be eating, but that's got everything. I loved it. Yeah.
So thank you, Maria, for sharing your story. It's important that we all share and let people know what's going on in our lives. And even if it's tough or very private, it's very helpful.
Yes.
When you can really share what's been helpful to you in your life, because it averts a lot of challenges and a lot of suffering, which is unnecessary as far as I can see and as far as I know.
Right.
So thank you for opening your heart and sharing your secrets and your truth.
Yeah. And they are, it's not easy to do that. But I think it is and was the conversation we talked about earlier was life changing for my daughter and I, which of course I'm delighted about, because I think that I'm hoping that women that work with you and or men will come to the table, at least, you know, the curiosity will bring them to you, to know that someone just, you know, is not just me, but the people that I've also talked to them about you, that they found things in their conversations with you very similar to mine that were very much life-changing for them too. I'm just very fortunate to have met you and to have done this work, albeit I wish I'd have done it, put more effort into it maybe years ago, but here I am, and it's better than it ever was, between my daughter and I, and to know that I can do it is, now I know that I can do it.
Yeah.
And I just hope that my story, if it changed one person's life and their daughter or their husband or their life, that their curiosity to be happy and to feel joy, and that you will help them open that door for sure. There's no doubt in my mind that you do that, and that's what you do naturally. It's just part of who you are. So I think I should be thanking you, not the other way around.
Excellent.
Yeah.
We'll have a thank fest, and that's
Yeah.
why
Thank you, Fast.
that's why I do it. That's why I do this work, and why I share all this information. So you're
Yeah.
invited to come along on the journey with us.
Yes.